Alright, in this video we are going to make a basic top-down game. We're also going to look into GD script and do a little bit of coding. Here's my Godot folder and here's my Godot executable, and we'll open that up. You can see we have the original, the tutorial from last time, the platformer. This time we're going to create a new one, so new project, and we'll call this T02 and top-down basic. And we'll keep all of the settings here. Just make sure that we're on the right path. And I have to change that actually. So we'll go to our Godot folder. And this is the folder that I want to create my new game. Select current folder. And now it is in Godot here, so that's good. And let's create. All right, we'll start off in this screen, but I want to go to my 2D workspace up in the tabs here. Because it is going to be a two-player game. Similar to what we did last time, I'm going to make a player character. So we start with other node, and we go character body 2D. There it is, and we give it a sprite and a collision shape 2D, sprite 2D, and collision shape 2D, and make sure that it's in the right file structure with both of them as direct childs of the character body 2D. I'm going to rename this as player, and I'm going to give my sprite a texture. We'll just use the default icon again, and we'll give it a collision shape as well, and we'll go rectangle shape 2D and resize that to fit. Alright, that's looking pretty good. We should save that first, so Control S to save, and player is the file name, that's fine. Alright, and we're going to make a level scene that can just be a node 2D. Node 2D here. We'll rename this as level so we know what it is, and we're going to use the chain icon to add the player into this scene. There it is. There we go. And it's the file is called level. That's fine. Save. All right, so let's go back to our player scene in the scenes here, and this time we're going to select the root node player, and then we're going to click on the add little scripty button here. We have different templates here, but let's go empty. Then we'll just go create. This is GD script, which is very similar to Python, a few differences. But if you've used Python before, you'll have no problem. And if you haven't used Python before, it's not too hard to pick up. Each tutorial, we might introduce one or two other things. So in your script right now, you should have nothing except for this extends character body 2D. If you have a bunch of stuff because you selected one of the templates, no problem, just select and delete everything except for this. Extends character body 2D just means that this node that we have the script attached to is a character body 2D. And so it has some like preset code that's part of it that we can't see right now, but that we are able to use. But we can ignore that for now. So first thing that we're going to do is type in var speed equals 300. Okay, it is nice to skip a line in between here just for clarity. So what's happening here? Well, var stands for variable. A variable is a container that holds some information. And so for us, the name of the container is the next thing here, which is speed. And then the information that it holds is this number right here, 300. So the equal sign is not the same as the equal sign like in math, where it's like two things are the same. In programming, equal sign typically says that you are storing this value, the 300, into this variable called speed. Variables can be named whatever we want. I happen to name it speed because that makes sense. That's how fast my character is going to go, but you can name it whatever you want. And then var is just the keyword that tells the computer, hey, we're setting up this new variable. Okay, so the next line is going to be like this. So what's happening here? Okay, so we have the keyword func, and so you can see that these keywords are kind of in this pinkish red color, and those are kind of instructions that tells GDScript what's going to happen in the rest of this line. And it's telling GDScript that we're going to declare a function here. The function is called physics process. This is a standard function in GDScript. Oftentimes, this function will be automatically created for you if you did it like a template, but we can also type it in ourselves. But this name underscore physics underscore process is something that we'll see a lot. The stuff in here, whoops, undo, okay. The stuff in the brackets here and the arrow thing and the void, GDScript like wants it to be there, but we're not going to be really using that stuff for the moment, so we can just put it there and kind of ignore for now. One note is that every punctuation needs to be there. So, you need this underscore here, you need this underscore here, you need this colon here, you need this colon here. So the punctuation, if it's not absolutely correct, it's not going to work. And also capital letters matter. And so, this should be lowercase and this should be lowercase. In fact, everything here should be lowercase. Otherwise, it's not going to work. This function, the physics process, is a section of code that's going to execute every time we have a frame of the game. I believe in Godot, games are set to 60 frames a second. So that means that 60 times a second, it's going to run the code that is in this block of code that we're about to write. Okay, so what are we going to put in here? First line is going to be velocity equals vector2 brackets. Okay, so a few things here. We have this, something equals and something else similar to how we had it up here, but we didn't have the var, and that's because velocity is a variable, same as speed, but velocity is a variable that's already defined in GDScript. So the velocity is a preset part of character body 2D. That's why we didn't need to do the var thing, but otherwise it's the same as what we had up here in terms of we have a variable name, a variable that we're trying to store this value in, which vector2 set it to 0, 0 because there's no values right now. We want our velocity to start at 0. So it's a vector2 because we have two directions, x direction and y direction, and it's going to be 0 speed in the x direction and the 0 speed in the y direction as well. Next we'll have this, if input dot action just press. So sometimes if we start typing, they come up with these little helpful hints that we can use. And so in this case, we're going to go action just pressed like that. And we're going to say left, and we're going to go colon. So what we have here is an if statement. This is super common in programming. This thing is true, then we're going to go and do one thing. If this thing is false, then we're going to go do another thing. So what are we going to do if it's true? We're going to go velocity dot x minus equals 1. And then we're going to say if input. And we're going to grab that one again. And this time we'll go right, colon, and we're going to go velocity.x plus equals 1. Okay, so what's happening here? Basically, if we have pressed the left button, our velocity.x is, so velocity, as I mentioned here, has an x and y component, and so up here we're setting it to 0, but basically if we've pressed left, that means I want the player to move left. So that means I want my velocity of the x in particular, right? Because I pressed left, not up and down. That's the x direction, and so I want to be getting smaller. Okay, let's go to our 2D grid here. So on the grid, if I press left, that means my X value is getting smaller because I'm going in the left direction. And if I press right, I'm going in this direction. That means my X value is getting bigger. So that's why when I go back to my script, that's why I have left, I have the minus here. And for the right, I have the plus here. Okay. Another thing that I want to point out is the indentation. Indentation is very important in GDScript. And so you see that I had my original function here, and then everything inside this function is indented at least to here, right? So you see that, there's this indentation. That means anything indented here is part of this block of code inside this function. It's running inside this function. If I ever had a line of code that was not indented, so it's right to the edge, directly under the function declaration, print hello, that means this is not part of the function, but these things are part of the function because of the indentation. And similarly, for the if, we have a block of statements that is indented. That's how we know that this is part of this if. Now that we have another line directly under this if, that means it's no longer part of this if. But if I have another line here and I say print hello, it will execute this line of code if I have pressed left. It's part of this if statement. So with the indentation, you do these using tab. And so you don't need to use space, 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 space. Use the tab key on the keyboard, which is on the left-hand side. If you haven't done the proper indentation in your code, you can go back and fix that. Okay, so we have left and right, so we just need to do this up and down. And so I'm just going to copy this, and we'll go here, and we'll go up, and we go here, and we go down. And of course, we're not in the X direction, we are in the Y direction. And so up is making our Y value smaller, so it's using the minus, and down is making the Y value bigger, and so that's using the plus. Almost done here. So the input dot is action just pressed is kind of a keyword in GDScript, and it's looking for the action. But before it can look for these actions of left, right, up, and down, it has to define those. And so we're going to go do that right now. So go into your project menu up here and go to project settings. And we go to our second tab called input map. All right, we're going to add some new actions here. So we click on the add new action, and we're going to just create those things that we just typed in. So we go left, and we click on add. And so it appears down here, and we want to add a keystroke to this action. So we click this little plus, add event, and it's listening for input. So we can just literally type the left key, and it automatically detects that I typed the left key. So yes, accept that. And so left key here. And also, if I want WASD, I can add another keystroke to this same action. So I click the plus again. This time I type A, and type OK. So now if I press left or if I press A, I'm always going to go left. I'm going to add a new action for right. Type in right here and click add, and do the same thing here. Add event, right, OK. Add another event, and well, that would be D, I guess. Yeah. OK. And same for up and down. Add new action, up, add. Okay, and type up, and add also W. OK. And finally, type down. Oh, sorry. I typed it in the wrong place. I'm trying to add a new action. So down here and add one here, down, and add another keystroke. That would be S. Okay. Close that. That's all done. So you can close. All right. And we're back here. And so after all these ifs, that's getting our keystrokes. I'm going to say velocity equals velocity times speed. Okay, so what's happening here? So we're affecting our velocity. This is the velocity that we just set, like the X and Y value in these if statements. And then we multiply that by the speed to get the velocity for the game. Because here we're just making it either 1 or 0. That's going to be way too slow for the game, so we multiply it by 300. So now in X direction, we're either moving by 300 pixels or by 0, right? And same in the Y direction. And finally, we're going to have move and slide empty brackets. So this is a function call. So move and slide is a pre-built function in GDScript, and basically that moves the player. So we have the velocity, we know how fast it's supposed to move, and this just moves it. You do need these empty brackets here. You do need these underscores. It has to be exactly like this. So now that we have everything, we theoretically can run this game. Let's just save our script with Control S, and we have our level. And oh yeah, so when we go to player and level, we can't really see anything because we're in the script tab. If we had more scripts here and we could switch between the scripts, and we would see differences. If we go back to the 2D tab, then we see the difference level and player. Yeah, so yeah, we want to run the level scene. And so we'll go run project, and it has our question, no main scene has been defined, select one, select current, because I have the level scene currently selected, which is fine. And here we are. And if I press right, it's moving right. And if I press down, it's moving down. It's not moving when I hold it down. I have to like continually press. And I think that's because I used the wrong function. So if I go back to script tab, action just pressed, I think I'm going to change all those to just action pressed. Like that. Like that. Just one underscore between action and pressed. And let's try that. Ah, here we go. So now we have smooth movement, and we can go any which way we want. All right, so we have our basic top-down movement done. Very good. So that is it for this tutorial, and see you in the next one.